Hey guys.
Questions for Coach?
James, you said back at the start of spring that you were hoping that everything would work out so you could have more of a traditional spring scrimmage. Where do you feel like you're at on that path at this point?
Yeah, we got some bumps and bruises. We've had a very physical spring ball, but we expect to have a more of a traditional spring game. That's where we're at right now. Is what we're planning on doing.
James, what have you seen from Abdul Carter and his development as a defensive end in spring ball?
Yeah, as you guys all know, Abdul's very, very talented. The transition's probably gone better and faster than I thought it would. It's a different world up there. It sounds good, but it's a major difference. And he's really transitioned very, very well to it. He's been physical, he's been explosive off of the edge. There's still some things he's learning, but his transition has gone probably better and faster than anticipated.
James, you guys have obviously lost Disa and Chop. What have you seen from Dani, both on and off the field, from him stepping up so far this spring?
Yeah, Dani's he's gotten better every single year, every single spring. His intensity every single day at practice. He's 270 pounds. He's physical, extremely physical. I think he's going to have a really big year for us. But he understands how to play the position. He's played a ton of football for us already. We need him to take a step this year, and from everything we've seen so far, I think he will. There's just such a physical aspect to his game in everything, in pass rush, in run defense, in block destruction, and then he's got such a motor. You guys have seen him chase plays down. He just plays the game the way you want it played, and he's had a really nice spring. And I don't think from most of this group that covers us closely that would surprise you, because really he came in not like a freshman, and he's continued to do that kind of along his journey.
James, how are you dividing the roster for the game? A draft ones versus ones?
No, I'm just kind of breaking it up, trying to make it as competitive as possible. So strategically putting guys on both teams that I think the game has a chance to be competitive. So guys that we would probably consider starters, say like the way we rotate D tackles, right? There's usually at least 4 D tackles that are in our mind starters. Those guys are broken up, if that makes sense. Same thing with the corners and so on and so forth. So trying to kind of divvy it up so that you got guys that you feel like you can play in Big Ten games on either side of the ball, on either side of the ball and on either sideline.
James, we haven't seen Jaxon Smolik out there. There was a report a couple weeks ago that he suffered a significant injury. Can you give us an update on his outlook right now?
Yeah, he's got a significant injury. Will be out for a period of time, but it is significant. That's correct.
James, what we speak.
And again, I've talked to Jaxon first. I won't address those or answer those questions until I've gotten permission from the kids and the families.
We're going to be speaking to AJ Harris. How have you seen him activate himself this spring?
Yeah, he's been really good. I think you guys know, AJ was a highly recruited kid out of high school. So he's come in here. He's a year older. He understands what it takes to be competitive at this level. I think he's really enjoying Penn State, the coaching staff, the teammates, the locker room. All of those things I think have been a real positive. I think he's comfortable here, and is showing real consistent signs that he's going to be able to help us this year. He's kind of unusual, as physical as he is as a corner. We've been a little bit unusual at the corner position. We've had a ton of physical corners, which isn't always the case, and I think he has a chance to even expand on that even more. He's also a guy, because of how big he is and how physical he is, I think he could play in multiple positions for us. But I'm really excited to watch him and a lot of these guys that it's their first semester on campus. What will they be like in training camp after going through all this? So we're pretty excited about him. And the feedback that I've gotten from him is he's very happy to be here.
James, along those lines, you were very high on Cooper Cousins before spring practice and when spring practice started. How have you seen his development, and is he going to be in position to compete for playing time as a freshman, which would be odd for an offensive line?
Yeah, it's hard to answer the last part of your question at this stage, but I think his transition has been like a lot of guys in terms of he probably came in further ahead than most guys, and kind of skyrocketed up, and I think was getting a lot of attention and a lot of people noticing him, coaches, teammates, all that kind of stuff. Then kind of as the playbook started to kind of build up on him and the blitzes and the different fronts and games started, then, like most of these guys, they kind of have a lull that they got to work through, and now he's starting to kind of pick it back up again. The other thing is when he first got here, we were playing him just center, which I think is where he's most comfortable and most experienced. And not only the things that I just got done talking about, but also now playing him a little bit at guard as well. But he's, again, another guy that's done a ton of really good things this spring. And I think, come fall camp, he's going to put himself in a position to compete.
James, with Tyler Warren going into year 4 with Theo, obviously moving on to the NFL, what were your and the staff's expectations for him as far as growth this spring? And do you feel like you've seen what you wanted to see now that the spring ball is almost over?
So not over yet, but I understand your point. He's really done a nice job. He's obviously decided to come back. There were lengthy discussions with him and his family. Obviously, we have a different kind of plan for him. The guys that had, legitimate draft grades that decided to come back, obviously have a little bit different plan for them during the spring. Very similar like what we did with Olu last year. So that factors into it. But really, Ty's a very well-rounded player, and specifically tight end in the run game, in the pass game, on special teams. He's played a little wildcat quarterback in the past. He's done a ton of different things. So really, it's just continuing to improve all those things. And the other thing that's important is that feedback we do get from the NFL clubs when we're giving them their draft grades and where they're at. We also get strengths and weaknesses. So it's valuable information for us and for the player to see what the NFL teams, think or their opinions are, what their weaknesses are, and then really come up with a plan to attack those things all off season. So I think he's got a chance to be a big time player for us this year, and obviously, it's our job to help him, help himself and help our team.
James, we haven't had the chance to see much of Alonzo Ford, obviously suffering injury last August. Are you able to give us any kind of update on his status of growth within the program, aside from what he can't do on the field, and perhaps when we might see him back involved with you guys again?
Yeah, he's not back yet. He's close to being back. I think this summer he'll be full go. And when I'm not talking about summer camp, I'm talking about summer training. But besides that, he's been great. But we just haven't really seen a whole lot. His attitude has been great. He's done really well in the classroom. He's obviously lived in the treatment room, and the strength staff's been able to work with him. The trainers that have been working with him, everybody loves him. We just not a whole lot that we've been able to see up to this point, other than the stuff that we saw when we recruited him.
The transfer portal opens next week. I guess, how do you kind of anticipate getting to 85 at this point?
How do we anticipate getting
there? Because I think
85?
you guys are probably a little bit over, maybe more so than you have been in the past.
You would know.
At least
'Cause
by
you
my
study
math.
it more than me. Yeah, we're in great shape. We're in great shape. Don't see like any of those things will be an issue, and our math's different than yours.
James, you mentioned near the top that this has been a really physical spring. How do Andy and Tom factor into that? I mean, they're pretty big personalities when we get to see them out on the field.
How does their personalities factor into us being physical?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think their energy, with our team's energy has been really good. I think specifically on the offensive side of the ball, those guys have really, I think, been drawn to Andy's personality and his confidence. I think has been big. I think Tom is continuing a tradition here of playing hard, physical defense and running to the football. But I think so far so good with both of them. I know they've been impressed with our guys and kind of the culture of how we practice and how we compete. And I think they've enjoyed the staff, and I think they've enjoyed the players. And obviously, this spring has been important, but we'll have a better idea probably 2 weeks into training camp.
Last one.
Are you guys in a situation, because across college football, this was kind of where I was getting at earlier, where collectives can kind of set aside money in terms of, hey, come here and we can make it work out in terms of, it's not technically a scholarship, but could you guys be in a situation like that, or maybe something kind of plays out differently than we've seen traditionally with the regular scholarships?
Yeah, I understand the question. I appreciate the question. I'm not going to get into the details of our strategy on offense, on defense, on special teams. I'm definitely not going to talk about a collective that we don't really, obviously, control or work with in that type of way. But I understand the question.
Hey, Coach.
Thank you.